Welcome back. WeArEuS, and this is going to be another episode where we don't play the class we played previously. Now, I did what I said I was going to do, and after last episode ended, I went ahead. Anyway, I went ahead and I played more. I don't remember what the original objective was. All I know is I am currently decked out to the nines, aside from the headgear, which is acceptable, given what it does for us stat-wise. I think I've actually made myself weaker, because there is just not any other extra spell power on here. I also picked this up on one of my runs through the mission before I died. It's very good, with a very good bonus there at the bottom. Nothing to really complain about there. I also finally dumped enough stats into dexterity to be able to equip this. That being said, I think, like I said, it actually hurts me because, well, no, this didn't have good stats on it either. It was just this one. Yeah, so this is actually sort of better. Plus, it comes with 2 extra stats on it. But if you're wondering where I got the purple gear from, it's from the map I picked up during the run. So I went ahead and did another run, and I got 2 more of them, which was great. Also, remember I talked to this guy last time, and I said I had no idea where he's actually supposed to appear because I know what the Citadel is, and I went there before. It turns out I could have sworn that I actually went to the Citadel close enough to see the door and everything after I got this guy. But I guess I just needed to go deep enough that we would be able to use the teleporter inside that would send us to, I think it was not the crypts where we got the warlock unlocked, but the level somewhere further from there. In so doing, I unlocked the sorcerer. He was apparently inside just chilling out and complaining about how the challenge inside of that area was particularly tough depending on what you did. I've been looking forward to this. Last episode I was sort of complaining that I didn't get far enough to actually find or unlock a new class, which made me sad, despite that spectacular freaking run we did. Lo and behold, I just needed to get far enough and then go back and access this. And I did it. And so we have the sorcerer, a master of arts that could devastate their opponent with elemental forces. Starting equipment being a staff, slippers, and a little bitty robe. Alright. First, let's give this guy a random. Yeah, that's going to be his name. Sorcerer Felinifer? Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. And then we customize.
Hello.
No.
How you
Hello.
doing?
Greetings. Hello. Hello. How you doing?
Hello there. Greetings.
Hello there.
I think I gave Tyler to the Warlock. So,
Hello there.
Greetings.
yeah. So this guy has a ton of mana regen and intelligence. And the stats make sense. Let's see. It troubles me that the headband does not show up on the player model or the character model. None of the rest of this really has any actual value. Yeah, I like that. Let's change the color a bit. Not that.
How you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll make him Jesus. I'm okay with that. Felinifer. Jesus the Sorcerer. Look at them marveling at us. I have to switch back to the Warlock. Good Lord, level 19. It's very obvious that the Warlock is disgusting. Possibly even a problem. And then you use I'm trying to remember the proper term. And then you use one of the class promotions and you run into an interesting issue where you no longer get the stuff you need, the augments you need for your skills as soon as you normally would. Need to put the stuff in the inventory or in the box, which is particularly, that's actually a problem. You might not be able to use this. This is I guess. Just go ahead and put that in there too. Sure, why not? Since I don't have mixed damage sources here, I'm actually going to. I still think these are sort of better than the ones we have equipped because they give stat or spell power. I'm going to need at least 24 intelligence. We should have enough because I think that any character we create gains the base amount of skill points and stat points that we unlock through achievements. I could be wrong, and achievements could be unique to each character based on your usage of them. For example, there's apparently an achievement for eating the health food that's just littered around places. which I tend to avoid unless I actually really need health. So imagine my shock that there's an achievement for it, and it's only at level 1. Anyway, let's go ahead. I think the other shoes would actually be fine for that guy, but this is 14. Right, this requires dexterity, so this, and this. And then switch back to Philly-Inifer. Go here. And we'll just take well, he won't be able to use that for a while. So this, and these. Where are those other slippers at? It's you, right? Yeah. Okay, that should be sufficient. Now, I don't know what any of the sorcerer's things do. As you saw, this is the first time I've actually created one. And though that's not particularly apparent, it could have been the case that I could have just taken a look at it without actually creating it, just to see what he does. I don't know. I didn't do that. Why am I there? There we go. I didn't do any of that. So, yeah. Oh. Wait, hold on. Oh! Okay, so, wow. Just a starting character has... I'm actually going to have to recreate the... No, I shouldn't have to recreate the other classes that I've already made. They should just have these extra stat and skill points. By the way, we'll be running him without a class promotion, and then when we die, we will look into the promotions. But first... I stopped to think because we don't have any extra strength or dexterity, which is weird. The warlock should have been able to contribute to dexterity-based achievements. I mean, I understand the strength-based achievements not being done, because that's going to require something like the paladin or the I think warrior, which I get. That's fine and understandable. It's perfectly reasonable. That's the first time I actually remembered that the warrior existed. So we still have to check out the warrior and the hunter as well. And then once we do a run or two with them, see how they play and feel and how their augments help them. Then we can do the class promotion. Or at least take a look at them and see what it looks like. So as a result of all of the stuff the warlock has achieved, this guy starts with 19... it starts with 19 intelligence. 13 focus and 9 vitality. Okay. So, what can we make you do? Guess we can do that for now. But if we change the slippers out, we won't be able to do that. So, let's go spend some points. That's not at all what I intended to do. I thought I'm so used to having the dual daggers with the warlock and the dash from that. We'll look at that later. First, 25 because of the shoes. We need 6. Probably load up to actually there. I won't invest in vitality yet. I want to see what the guy's passives are and everything first. Also, we're going to have to use him to kill the totem, and from there we'll then be able to use the skips. But he's got to kill the totem first in order to get the combo passive. Okay. I don't know what the guy's going to want. I mean, it seems like staves are the thing he's supposed to be using, but they're not very flexible. Granted, the tomes aren't much better, being little sigil whores. They're not great. I did do a run with the warlock using just the dagger and a tome. Well, I used it for a little bit during that run. It was surprisingly effective until it just stopped being as effective. And I started really fiending for some parry chance, so I swapped back eventually. But it has potential, it's just not very much. What do you give again? Dash charges. So I spent, I've made quite a bit of money, got up to about 53,000. Then I came back, spent some of that down to 40-ish something, maybe a little less. And then I did a couple runs of the maps. I did all 3 of the maps that I had, and then I died on the 3rd one because the enemies were level 21 or higher. I don't know. They took so little damage. It's so bad because currently we get 1 buff one buff to our skill, any of one of our skills, and then the food and drink. And it's not great. It's bad. I went into that level 21 map and I was doing no damage. And then I died, and apparently when you die, the map is still consumed. So try not to suck, I guess. Still thinking I'm a warlock. Warlock is freaking gross, and I love it. Not going to touch any of that stuff because it's all going to be inferior equipment. I need vitality. We're just 2 points off. I can do that. Or I can equip that. I don't want to put points into dexterity just to get that. I'll put that back. And these as well. Here. I'll worry about the staves in a moment. First, $20. Warlock things. Upgrade to uncommon. That's garbage. Okay, it's not common, it's uncommon. Got it. It makes sense now that I think about it. 15, 20. 2 of these. 2 of those. I sure hope this isn't going to be an awful class because I don't get those resources back. But, I mean, I say awful. Is there anywhere else we need to go? The guy off to the side over there doesn't really do anything for us yet because we don't have the combo passive. And we're not going to touch the class promoter until we know how. Wait, speaking of which, until we know how the skills work, feel, how to use them, all of that. So, here we have discharge, which I have been triggering on accident because I keep thinking I'm using the dual daggers. You unleash several arcs of lightning in a cone, dealing lightning damage. Well, it would be weird if they dealt ice damage. Each enemy can only be hit by one arc. Costs 20 mana, dealing 50 damage with a 1 second cooldown. That is your damage ability. Then we have Elemental Orb. You conjure a slow-moving orb that continuously deals damage of all elements to nearby enemies. So... then its damage is going to be affected by anything that increases any element's damage. Okay, that's fine. Its tick rate is 0.25 seconds with a 3-second duration. I think that's about 12 ticks, since it's 4 for a second. Yeah, so that's 12 ticks of damage in total. Then we have innate power, which grants spell crit chance. Simple enough. Then we have the unique passive elemental affinity. Granted, this is technically unique as well, it's just not particularly special. It's also using this icon for the passive, similar to the wizard, whose, I believe, gives him spell cooldown. Anyway, elemental affinity. When casting a spell, you gain elemental affinity of the same element as the spell cast. You deal more damage of the corresponding element as long as you have elemental affinity. And you can only have one type of element active at a time. So this scales from 10% all the way up to 30%. This is just super important for this guy. I don't want to spend too many of those. Especially considering we've got to get this guy levels, and might be rough for a little while, is all I'm going to say. Especially since we still have to deal with the totem, which is a noob stomper for sure. 5%. Yeah, sure, why not? We have all of these extra points, right? I don't know what any of the augments are going to look like. We'll be able to see a few of them once we start the run, but yeah, there's no reason to. Wait. I almost did the warlock thing again. Right, it requires 40. I could have done that. I can also respec and just fix that right out. I'm probably going to do that. So, what else do we have? This one's preferable. Although, this one gives spell power, which I like. We'll take that. Sure, whatever. Now, see, this is actually perfect. This comes with 10% ice penetration. And then we can combine that with this. Though it sucks dick that this only has weapon crit chance rather than spell crit chance. I'm not going to make a big deal about that. I'll swap to this and then get this thing out of my inventory. From there, I think we'll just leave it and finally begin the run. I have no potions. Great. I also, for the life of me, cannot remember where. Oh, down there. Not going to bother with the poison resistance. If they all just instantly die, there's no risk of being poisoned, right? The logic holds. Let's see. Okay, so we have access to. Did I might not. Wrong place. I might not have enough resources. Let's see. Kind of close. I want the guild hall first. None of these others particularly mattered aside from this one. I do want this for the extra revive cost reduction. I don't know what more valuables means. It just seems like an extra. That's just extra words. I don't know what that's supposed to relate to. Does that increase the quality of your drops, or? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, for the augments for the, I don't remember the name of the actual spell. For our main DPS skill, we have Chain Lightning. Each arc of lightning can chain to additional targets. Pretty basic for lightning damage. Extended discharge increases the range of the spell. Probably going to be a fan of that. Scorching Rays changes damage type to fire, and the rays now pierce targets. Rays of Frost unleashes fewer rays in a tighter cone, but enemies can now be hit by multiple rays. It changes damage type to ice, which works with the book that we currently have, even though we don't have it equipped. I'm pretty sure the staff we just equipped deals lightning damage, so we'll stick with that for now. But anyway, on to the floating orb skill. We have Adaptive Orb. If you have elemental affinity when casting the spell, the orb will only deal damage of the corresponding element. Yep, that seems pretty good for that. Extends the lifetime of the orb from 50% up to 150%. Neat. For the passive, we have, the first passive, we have Uncontrolled Power. You deal increased spell crit damage per stack of upgrade. Per upgrade? I think that works fine. We have Power Surge. You gain a buff of increased weapon cast and movement speed when scoring a spell crit. Yeah, weapon speed just means your wand or staff just fires more quick. Well, in the case of a staff, for example, the lightning staff would just do higher DPS. Well, more. No, it's pretty much the same thing, but it's not accurate in either case. Its DPS is faster. Ooh. This is what he's going to want. He is going to want Mana Surge. And I think at 3%, crap, we're going to have to build the spell crit chance. Frick. For the second passive, we have Elemental Ward, which grants additional fire, ice, and lightning resistance per character level. But 20, you get pretty decent resistances even at level 1. But level 3 is what you really want. Elemental Penetration, it's obvious what that does. So we want to start with either no. The argument for this is going to very much determine how your play style is going to go. And I really want fire for the DPS, but I don't have anything with fire penetration on it. And pretty much all fire staves and wands suck dick. I can swap to the warlock and get a better wand or staff, depending on what pops up in the shop. Okay, let's play it by ear and see what the warlock gets in the shop. I probably shouldn't use that, otherwise I'm going to be doing that. That's annoying. I mean, I get why it did it, I just don't get why it didn't swap again. Have any alternatives, so we have to do it this way. Okay, perfect. So here we have Scorching. Oh crap, that requires 41 freaking intelligence. And he doesn't currently have nearly enough for that. It's going to require 4 levels minimum. Interesting. This cape requires focus rather than vitality. It does come with spell power. Color me intrigued. This does come with spell power. But this is also another level 40, so, or intelligence 40. Goodness. Okay. Nope, not yet. I realized just before I pressed that button what I was about to do. So let's go ahead and respec, get all of that back. Bump this all the way up to 41. Fine. It's fine. So now we can equip everything and anything. And it feels so good. So let's see. Current one we have is fine until we get to the boss. We can either do less damage with this sigil or glyph. The green one deals literally 1 more damage. I could upgrade it, but it's a freaking throwaway, right? So this has 30. That's good. It beats the other one. Easy decision. Yeah, that's it. Everything will now rue the day. I almost did the warlock thing again. And we go with the ice. Right? I would prefer fire, like I said, for the DPS, but... So for this, what you typically would want is one of the elements. Adaptive Orb and Mana Surge. Without question. Mana Surge would probably be the preferred one. From there, so I want to save my resources. Okay, finally, 30 minutes later, we finally are able to start this sorcerer run, which is going to end in tragedy because he's literally level 1. But it won't end immediately in tragedy. This wand behaves completely differently from the others. That's not a wand, that's a spell. That explains everything. Yeah, that's what I remember. Try out the orb. You know, if my enemies don't just vanish. Those guys are really big. There was some indicator of the elemental affinity effect being active. I won't be able to progress because this guy hasn't gone through the totem at least. We might be able to do it first time, but I don't imagine so. Or does valuables mean stuff that drops from creatures, like fur and the beetle shells that we just picked up? I was trying to bounce it off of the wall, but it just ignored that there was even one there. Just kind of awkward. Great, lightning pen. We're not using that. Oh, okay. So elemental affinity only works with you. Yeah, so it doesn't work with your weapon skills, only with the spells you cast. So you have to at least cast one of your skills once, so you can get that buff. That buff. Got it. For sure, there are a lot more creature-based things dropping. See, the Warlock has me in a frame of mind where I want to do that sort of a thing, even though I shouldn't. And I know I shouldn't. But at the very least, oh, at least I'm not held down by having to match my weapons element to the skill or the augment I get for the first skill. At least there's that, right? Instead, I can just focus on either using the skill or I can either focus on building for the skill or for the weapon and the skill. So I can just go ahead and get the fire augment. Mana on kill, which will help for sure. I don't think I missed anything. I honestly don't even want to pick this up, but it is free money. However little that amount is. Cast this and then this. Oh. You know, part of me hates the idea that I have to go through all of these other stages again. And yet, also, I haven't been here in so long. I wonder how the elemental affinity buff applies. By that, I mean, in the case of the orb, does the orb snapshot the buffs that are in place and then retain them, even if for you, they're about to run out? Or does it simply, for example, if I were to cast the orb now and then cast the first skill, would that cause me to just waste the buff or would it still apply? So the damage there was 60. We need to test it out against these guys, though. Yeah, 60. Okay. So it becomes 63. Come on. Yeah, it is affected after the fact. Good. So at least we know that now. Experimenting is the way. Vanished. That went a lot better than I had any reason to expect it would. I was sure I was going to die there. But anyway. So if you increase the lifetime of the orb, you can have multiple of them up. Purging infidels. I like that. Spell crit damage. As long as you have elemental affinity, your damage bonus is doubled for the other elements. So I would have to give my skill an element I don't want an affinity for in order to gain a more powerful buff for the weapons. I mean, for the lightning book, that's pretty freaking good, but I don't see the logic in it right now. Yeah, hold that thought. Typically, if I don't care for anything that's on here, I just go with the highest level thing because that'll sell for the most. I could have sworn that the projectiles for this did not go nearly that far. Though I could just be completely wrong. Heck, now that I think about it, the progressing through the Citadel as a shortcut might not even work for this guy because he hasn't been that far. And that sort of thing might be locked to the character's personal progression. I don't miss this place. Ooh, frick. Well, I overestimated his tankiness. Okay, so for the augment that I didn't see the logic for earlier, I've realized if you keep the orb as it is, all of the other damage, all of the other two elements, it'll just do more damage with those. So there's a way you can make that work. But I'm still trying to work that out in my head. Because obviously you want the You want fire to be good, but yeah, you would probably want fire. But if you use ice, you get more opportunities for what I assume are spell crits. That might be weapon crits. Yeah, that attack is considered a weapon attack, not a spell attack. Okay. So that changes things a bit. Yeah, sure, I'll call them. Bring all the boys to the yard. Yep, that went about how I wanted. Made it much easier to clear the area, too. No idea why you're still there. Chance on crit. The problem with these is that you have to be able to stand your ground and make use of them. Or I can just give myself another potion. These guys aren't going to be particularly useful, but I'll take them. There's some stuff up north I missed. I kind of wonder if this guy would be good with a bow, since your weapon sort of doesn't matter. Oh, right, I need to be keeping an eye out for the walls, huh? Finally. Yep. What's this? Chilling enchantment. Okay. Oh, right. So I unlocked the shop. Mother fricking. I unlocked this shop that lets you apply magical effects or enchantments, actually. to your your equipment, and basically it's, I don't really want to be standing around, but it's basically like the 5% spell crit chance on this one. Yeah, there's a good reason we have that instead. 10% ice pen. The point, good lord. The point is that I'm trying to see if this weapon's attack damage is affected by spell power, then everything's fine and that's cool. We dealt 55 damage to those guys. Yeah, so 55 damage. That's where we are. Good news, bad news time, ladies and gentlemen. Good news, I have my answer. Bad news, it is not the one I wanted. So apparently, weapon damage, even if it's spewing magic, is just considered weapon damage. It doesn't matter if it's dealing elemental damage, it's just considered weapon damage. There's basically no difference between it being physical or magical, aside from the fact that you can actually gain armor penetration, which increases your physical damage against enemies with armor, while magic has elemental pen, which you have to actually roll on gear. So it's just weaker and more unreliable. Because it doesn't even come up as a possible roll until you get blue gear. I believe up north will still hold that for me. Up north is still partially unexplored. Now see, the problem with getting rid of the 30 spell power is that it's going to negatively affect the actual damage output of my walk very fast, of my skills. So, you know, life sucks. Figuring out a build for this guy is going to be tough. Do we really want this sort of trouble? And then I can loop through here. Easy enough. Ooh. Yeah. It now just spews spells in every direction. I don't know if that's extra damage or if that's just augmenting the range of its current damage. Yeah, it looks like the extra damage. Neat. crest. Not really. This one and yeah. I would like the evasion, but the Iceman. Poison. Did I get poison resistance? No. None of those have anything on offer that I would want. Okay, so I like how the sorcerer's just able to deal with them like the trash they are. I'm specifically talking about, I think we have enough. Hold on. Level 4, no, we need one more level. Hold on. The moment the goblin warriors try to approach, they catch a shotgun. Okay, it's not XP like I wanted, but no one hates extra mobility. I don't think is it even possible to see if there's a cracked wall? Also, in my efforts to keep an eye on walls everywhere I go, I discovered that the cracked walls are pretty visible if you're keeping your eyes open, but they need multiple attacks in order to actually break them open. Yeah, just more crit chance. I'm sure bosses will love that. Especially stationary ones that I'm just going to be shooting orbs at and shotgunning off cooldown. Actually, there's little space left to explore. I could have died there if I didn't have the armor. And the rather significant amount of health. All right, and now the moment of truth. Oh, great. And it starts with the fire totem of all of them. Okay. I guess today's episode is just going to be a little long then. Right, we have evade on our shoes, I believe. Well, at least you get to see what it looks like when we defeat the boss. It's pretty good, you know? No one hates seeing loot at the end of a, air quotations, hard fight. Ooh. We're one piece closer to having a parry as well. I don't hate that. I could get parry if I equip those bracers that I left on the warlock. Also, how did all three of these guys make it through the boss fight? They usually don't do that. How did they make it through? I guess it was just the overwhelming firepower we owed. Speaking of which... So I see why I'm trying to remember why I'm not equipping the weapon, the book that gives us the extra spell power. And then I keep having to remind myself that it's because we don't. Did I remember to go back and use the... We could have lost so many of our resources if we had died there. Yeah, take that back. Of course, I just walk right by it. So basically, the sorcerer walks in, everyone dies to DPS. The warlock walks in, he face tanks everyone to death. You see why I like mages? Granted, the warlock is an extreme case where things just work out in a certain way. Sure, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I do miss the idea of it being able to deal fire damage. I don't think the DPS stacks up fast enough for it to do significantly. Stack enough to do significant damage over time. And again, it'll still do the normal thing with all of the elements if I don't have affinity active, but then it changes once it is. Remember, we're doing all of this with no poison resistance because poison just doesn't really matter if everything dies instantly. Now we have enough levels for whatever it was I was thinking about earlier and no longer actually remember. Hold that. Not as easy with something that doesn't DPS like the daggers do. Well, guess I can just spam now. What's that? Take the extra health and mana. Now I have 300. If he's just going to ignore me and get baited by my small army, sure. Okay, so it does bounce off the wall. It's got it. To do this okay. I'm going to gloat about not having to do it the slow way, and then that happened. I have to keep an eye on the walls. Right. doing that and managing how I engage enemies is that is rough. I also really do want to try a run with the fire version of the augment for this, for the first skill. This one. The longer it lasts, the more damage it's doing. Weird. I don't... I think I did, so... Ah, yeah, 4 potions. Nice. Yeah. I didn't see any walls that looked broken. Okay, now the real test. Horde mode. Can we do it, or we die like a chump? Well, y'all should have come at me at once. I might have died. But frick, I almost took damage there. Okay, so the element of it doesn't change if you launch it before activating elemental affinity, which is interesting. I realize now I should have just launched it at the wall so it would have bounced back and forth. Less might, 10% more damage. Trader. Okay, see, that's what I told you guys I had when I was running the Warlock. It's pretty good, but I'm not trading in my armor. That's just not happening ever. I need the Headhunter contract. I get it whenever it comes up. I need to remember to keep an eye on the walls as well. Yeah, nothing to hate there. Okay. I got stuck on something there, so I just... I got DPS. We can just go around. No reason to take extra damage. Yeah. That extra range will allow me to be more flexible in how I engage. And I'm thinking mostly about boss fights. In particular, the one that's coming up. I need a trinket that gives me a chance to gain potion on kill. Getting that is just so free. Bring a resistance. I did not see any walls that were suspect. And I'm willing to bet there was at least one. But like I said, I'm trying to manage how I engage enemies. I think I missed one of these in there. Should have just looked at the freaking map. Hold on. Okay, they're all just gone, except for this one guy. Superhuman. That's annoying. This one. Yeah, more mana is always appreciated. Or the shady trader. Sure. Maybe I should start speccing into that crit damage augment. Yeah, that feels pretty efficient. Let's just trigger everyone, shall we? We'll go north since the exit is in the south. I do like the doubled lifetime for it. I've never actually gotten to the three-piece effect. That makes me sad. Extra dash or more damage? You know me. You know what? I just realized I went into the totem boss fight without equipping the fire resistance cloak. Who's the boss now? Looks like something's missing over here. Pretty sure I did go down there, right? I can't see down there, so I don't... I guess I haven't been down here? How did I neglect to do this? Not as good as what I'm wearing. It requires dexterity, besides. You know what? I realized I have the fire cloak again, and I could have mitigated some of that damage. You can be both good and bad at the video game. Trust me, I've managed to do it many a time. This is one of those times where I can use my intelligence. That's 28 extra resistance. I don't see the value of the spider web, but I mean... why not, right? If they're giving, I'm taking. Exit is this way. I have not seen any breakable walls. What could that be? This is the plant. By the way, remember the trouble the boss that was the 3 skeletal snakes gave me, even with my warlock? Well, I fought them again. Turns out anything that isn't a boss like the totem, you have to fight again, which is fine. You know, if you don't skip them by going through the Citadel, well, you have to fight them when you go through the Citadel's warp. But regardless, the point is, I took the warlock there with the, I think it was the soul promotion, the soul class promotion. Done and dusted. It wasn't, you know, a blowout by any means. They didn't like it. They didn't like it at all. Didn't like that. What the frick is causing that? This is the giant head. That's why it's stuttering like that. Okay, I thought this was the plants. We don't do this fight well. We don't do this fight well at all. I also have no potions. And I'm pretty sure there was a fountain in the previous level. We die here. That's just a fact. We die here. need to maintain potions for this fight. That's what I have learned. At least for this guy. All I needed was one potion and we would have done that fight no problem. The fault lies with me and me alone. But that being said, I think it's very clear that we have fully grasped how the sorcerer works. And I like it. I really do. I'm pretty sure I didn't have to fight the head with the Citadel skip, so if that's still unlocked, I would prefer to take that. The only issue with this guy is that he has no means of restoring his health outside of potions, so those become that much more critical for him. And see, now we have Bing Chilling we can add to it instead of Scorching. That would just increase its base damage, but would it increase it more? You can also add Durable. Yeah, so it gets rid of the health, which I'd actually prefer to keep. I don't want to spend too much here. I will take the extra spell power for this guy. Man, it feels pretty bad that that fight with the giant head stutters. Okay, so just a random level 18 and 17 drop. Sure, why not? Oh, and just blue boots in here because sure. I need some means of health restoration for this guy. See, if it was just if the boss was just a matter of DPS, it would have been easy. But because it's literally something where once you kill all the ritualists, you're literally just waiting for more of them to appear to then kill them again. Meanwhile, you're taking damage from everywhere. So that sucks. But in the end, the build felt pretty good, aside from having no way to restore health without potions. That sucked, but that was a self-inflicted issue. Ooh. Maybe if it had crit chance instead? Okay, so how many resources did we pull in? And what can we do with them? Not enough to upgrade the guild hall. Literally only need 3 stone for that. But getting the 3 requires getting like 6. Yeah, so I think the valuables part of this applies specifically to beasts. So they just drop more of their associated things, but then they just stop appearing, and this has no value. Once you hit the indoors areas, you just don't get anything from this. So I think this and blacksmith. Oh, that's the one. Yeah. Now we only lose 30% upon revival. Or more accurately, have 30% of everything stolen when we're revived. Okay. With that done, now we can marvel at class promotions. When you're level 10, never mind. What is this guy currently? 6. I may just play after we're done and get him up there. I don't really know what to do with our stats at this point. May as well. The 6.5% isn't worth it. I want that 8. So this one. Oh, right. We also have this guy's combo effect we need to put into action. I don't know if we have enough skill points to actually do this. Okay, literally only 1. Oh, crap. No, I'm actually satisfied with how I've spent the skill points, so that'll just have to do. Potions, gear upgrades. Don't really have the money for it. I don't hate just getting 3 more health per upgrade. Also, the little nugget next to the money, that is something you can only get while you're in the... I would assume in any dungeon that has a chance to drop epic tier gear, but specifically from the maps that you can go to that produce these. Sure, I believe. Heck, I can even use this robe with, frankly, any class. Well, no, that's not true. Any class that has a decent enough reason to build intelligence, like the Paladin. because this thing has two different damage types on it, each one increases when it's upgraded, resulting in having a 2-point upgrade in damage, well, increase in damage per upgrade. I'm kind of okay with that. To be fair, I want fire for this. I want a fire tome. The only issue with the fire wand is that it's slow. I mean, it deals AoE damage, but its fire rate is super slow. And because it deals dot damage, its projectile damage is lower than the damage we do with the ice wand. So it's really just bad all around. Let's not overspend. Is there anything else we need to? I can put stuff in there. Actually, I do have stuff I want to sell. Fiery cloak stays. Subpar. It's 11% movement speed. Keep. Crushing. Yo. Garbage. Anything in the single digit eye level has to go. The highlighting is not very clear. I wish it was a different color. My problem with it is that I don't want to accidentally sell one of these because I can't get them back if I do. There's no rebuy option. There's no way to lock them. If you screw up, the stuff is just gone. And speaking of being gone, that is going to do it for us today. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves and everything you've seen here. We will be back tomorrow with another episode, and it will be a shorter one. I promise. I can't be bothered to spend this much time on a single episode on certain days. So we will have to stop in the middle of a run, which we know is a thing, and just come back to it the following episode. Now, I don't know how long we're going to have to go before we can unlock another class, but so far we've unlocked 2 mage classes back to back, and I'm starting to detect a bit of a bias here. Granted, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that there are other physical damage based classes that aren't centered around magic damage. But I find it hard. I don't find it very easy to believe, considering just how good the sorcerer, well, the warlock and the sorcerer are. Gotta keep them in order of brokenness. The sorcerer isn't broken, but he is really good. And not too good. Pretty fun to use as well. I thought, look, I like being able to face tank and DPS, and the warlock was just so much of that. Less so once you have the other class, have a class promotion active, and it's just so much harder to get the health, I think it's life leech, while inside of a ritual. I literally had to do an entire run without it. I think it was the health upon gaining essence from an enemy, and it was doing good work for sure, which is really weird considering that we had no other sources of health or healing whatsoever. And we went the distance for sure. So I don't know what to think, but well, I realize now I've gotten off onto a tangent, but I'm supposed to be ending the episode so I can start another run and get this guy to level 10. And so, with all that said, we will see you next time.